What is going on, guys? Welcome to my sports corner here. Today, I'm going to be bringing you guys my predictions and breakdowns for UFC Fight Island 6, Ortega versus Zombie. This is a fight that I've been waiting a while for. It has been scheduled a couple times. I believe Ortega ended up pulling out, but it's finally here. It's happening this weekend. It's going down. Maybe it was for the better. This fight's, like I said, been in the works for a while. Ortega ended up slapping one of one of the zombies translators at a UFC event. So there's a little bit of heat going into this fight. Last time there wasn't too much heat. They were respectful of each other, but this time we got a little bit of bad blood going in, which always makes for a better fight and a better storyline. But first, I'm going to be going through UFC Fight Island 5 Moraes versus Sandhagen. I'm going to be going through the main card, looking at my predictions, what I got right, what I got wrong. First off, we had Yusuf Zalal versus Lija Topuria. I picked Zalal to win. Topuria ended up getting the decision. 0-1, starting off there, not off to a great start. Topuria just took down Zalal at will. I thought Zalal was going to be able to keep it standing and just out pointing out kickbox Topuria. That's not what ended up happening. Zalal his takedown defense was horrible. Topuria just took him down at will and ended up getting his decision. Again, getting the decision victory. Moving up the card, we had Aspinall versus Alan Bedeau. I picked Aspinall to win by early KO. That's exactly what happened. Aspinall is a good heavyweight prospect, man. He's definitely somebody to watch out for. My man fighting out of England. He clipped Bedeau early and got the job done. So there we go. I was 1-1 on predictions so far. Moving up, we had Driscoll Duplicit versus Marcus Perez. I picked Duplicit to win. Duplicit won. There's 2-1 now. He hit him with that beautiful left hook. I don't even know if he meant to hit him, but Marcus Perez was going for it. It looked like a spinning elbow, and then Duplicit just clipped him right behind the ear, dropped him. Finished off the fight with some ground and pound. Good victory for him there. Like I said, I don't know if he meant to land that, but a victory is a victory nonetheless. That makes me 2-1 on predictions so far. Moving up, we had the heavyweight bout between Ben Rothwell and Marcin Tybura. I thought this fight was going to go opposite. How it ended up going. I thought it was going to be a slow-paced, heavyweight slugfest where Rothwell was going to end up getting the decision. But it was actually, a pretty decent fight. It was a slugfest, but it was a little faster paced. Where Tybura ended up edging out the decision. Both guys landed good strikes, but Tybura just landed the better strikes and ended up edging out the decision. That leaves me at 2-2 on the prediction so far. Moving up to the co-main, we had Barbosa versus Makuana Miracani. Of course, Miracani was stepping in on short notice. It was originally supposed to be Sadiq Yusuf versus Edson Barbosa. Barbosa just, completely outclassed him. He almost choked him out with his own. He almost choked out Makuana with Makuana's signature choke. That was pretty funny to me. That would have been pretty dirty if he would have ended up pulling that off. But like I said, I predicted Barbosa to win. Barbosa ended up winning. He just landed the more power shots, was ripping to the body, ripping to the head, just kind of landed what he wanted. He definitely showed, that he's the better striker of the two. Of course, Barbosa had some unfortunate decisions coming in, and this time, there was no doubt about it. He definitely got that decision. So that puts me at 3-2. Moving up to the main event, we had Magic Marlon Moraes versus Corey Sandhagen. Corey Sandhagen, wheel kicked him, dropped him, and then finished up with some ground and pound. I predicted Marlon Moraes to win that by third round TKO. Ended up going the opposite way. Finished off 3-3. Not too great, not too bad. Not happy with those predictions. That the stoppage was a little, maybe a little early on that the Moraes Sandhagen fight, but it's whatever. Sandhagen, just kind of outclassed him. He really established, distance, and, he was hitting Moraes with the feints. He looked really good. And now I'm kind of happy that Sandhagen won because now, to me, that all but solidifies that Sterling's going to be getting his title shot. If Moraes would have won that fight, I could have definitely seen Moraes sliding in for the title shot over Sterling. They showed Sterling getting KO'd probably 20 times on the broadcast, so it seemed like they were setting up for it. If Moraes would have gotten the job, then he would have, I believe, slid in for the title shot over Sterling, especially because they hadn't booked it yet. But Sandhagen took care of that, and I believe Sandhagen should be fighting Cody Garbrandt next. That's who I'd like to see him up against. And then Marlon Moraes, I believe they could do him against a Sun Sao. Make the trilogy. They're one apiece. Both of them are coming off losses. Both of them are coming off KO losses. That's a matchup I'd like to see. And then as for Sandhagen, like I said, I'd like to see him matched up against Garbrandt. I know Garbrandt was talking that he wanted the next flyweight title shot. He recently pulled out. Just scrap those plans. Let's do Sandhagen versus Garbrandt. I know Sandhagen called out Dillashaw, and then what else did he call? Frankie Edgar, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Either of those fights would be fine. I'd prefer to see him up against Garbrandt or Dillashaw. Dillashaw would be an interesting fight too. Whenever he comes back, I believe Dillashaw's suspension is up in January, so. Either Garbrandt or Dillashaw would be a good fight for him. If he beats either Garbrandt or Dillashaw, I believe he'd be next up for a title shot. And if either Garbrandt or Dillashaw beats him, I believe they'd be able to slide right in for a title shot. And then it was a pretty good night of fights. There was a lot of finishes. It started off pretty slow, and then I'm trying to think who got the first stoppage. I don't know, but man. That Joaquin Buckley versus Chicagan knockout was insane. He got his kick caught and then just turned around and threw up this random jumping back kick and caught him clean. Chicagan dropped like a fucking like a 2x4. It was insane. I think it had like 100,000 retweets or something. Completely, smoked all other UFC. Like Twitter posts. I believe the previous most retweeted was McGregor's finish of Cerrone that had like 27,000 retweets or something. And like I said, this one had over 100,000. So it is by far the most viewed, retweeted, shared video that the UFC's ever put out. And I believe Joaquin Buckley gained like 50,000 new followers or something since I last saw. But yeah, it was a good night of fights, man. There was a lot of stoppages. A lot of good scraps, man. It was a good night of fights. Hopefully this next card coming up will be pretty good too. But yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. Starting off, we have Thomas Almeida versus Jonathan Martinez. Almeida's coming in with a record of 21-3. Of course, he's coming off a pretty big layoff. He got TKO'd by Rob Font in his last bout, January 20th, 2018. UFC 220, and then before that, he lost to Jimmy Rivera back in 2017 by unanimous decision. I don't like to see these guys coming in off of long layoffs, and of course, Almeida's going to be taking on Jonathan Martinez. Jonathan Martinez is coming off a victory, I believe. Yeah, over Frankie Saenz back at Brunson versus Shabazian in August. So he's not coming off a long layoff at all. Of course, this fight is going to be contested at featherweight. Looking at the odds for this fight. They're not posted yet, but I would assume Jonathan Martinez is going to be the favorite, and that's who I'm going to be picking. I'm going to pick him by decision. I don't, he could get the finish on him, but I'm just going to, take the safe bet and go Martinez by decision. He's a good striker. I mean, he was a good striker too, but like I said, Almeida's just coming off that long layoff. I don't like to see these guys coming off long layoffs. I know Dominic Cruz said that ring rust isn't a thing, but I think that's a case by case basis. And with a layup this long, and Almeida's not a championship level fighter like Cruz is, I definitely see some ring rust coming in there. But then moving up the card, we have a light heavyweight bout between Jimmy Crute and Modestas Bukauskas. Of course, Jimmy Crute is coming off of a victory in his last bout, a Kimura over Michael Oleksiejczuk, however the hell you say that, back in February. And then before that, he got Peruvian necktied by Misha Serkinov. And then, of course, we got Modestas Bukauskas coming off that, kind of a weird stoppage. I forget who that was against. But basically, Bukauskas shot in for a, he kept it standing the whole first round. And then he shot in for a takedown at the end of the round. And then he his opponent was hitting those elbows, where they're hugging around their crotch, and he's hitting those elbows going down. Left a pretty big welt behind Bukakis' ear, and then the round ended. And then Bukakis was kind of sitting there, and the ref was telling him to get up and get up, get up. What are you doing? Get up. And then I believe the cage door or something opened for one of the cornermen to come in, and then Bukakis tried to get up, and then he fell, and then the ref just called it off. It's whatever for a stoppage. Bukakis didn't really seem to protest it too much, so it's whatever. In this fight, let me look at the odds real quick. We got Jimmy Crute coming in at -350 favorite, and then we got Bukakis coming back at +275. Those odds are a little, little deep there. I can definitely see why Jimmy Crute is the favorite. He's a pretty good prospect for the light heavyweight division. Sorry. And then as for my prediction for that fight, I'm gonna go Jimmy Crute. I'm gonna go probably by submission. He's been working on his ground game. Ever since he got Peruvian necktied by Misha Serkinov, you can tell he's been working on his craft. He's coming off of 8 months off. Like some of these guys, they come out like Yusuf Zalal. He's been real active this year, but he hasn't really been improving. Of course he has been active and been fighting a lot, but he hasn't really been in the gym improving upon his craft. And it's completely different with Crute. He has been active, but to me, that just means he's been in the gym every day, working on his craft, improving, versus, like I said, Zalal, he's, just in the gym every day, just getting ready for his next fight, just going through training camp, not really, working to get better. He's just working to get into fighting shape, Then moving up the card, we have Caitlin Chicagan versus Jessica Andraj. This is going to be Andraj's flyweight debut. Of course, she's coming off of the split decision loss versus Nam Yunus, and then before that, she lost to the champ Weili Zhang by TKO. This is an interesting fight because looking at the past, we had Cynthia Calvillo that moved up to flyweight. And at strawweight, she wasn't really a serious contender there. Of course, she was ranked, but she was between 10 and 15. She wasn't really a real threat to the title there. And then she moves up to flyweight and then just completely outclasses Jessica Ai, and that was the number one contender there at flyweight. So that was. It just really shows, the depth of the 115 division versus the depth and skill that there is at the 125 division. Looking at the odds for this fight between Jessica Andraj and Chicagan, they're pretty close odds. Andraj is the favorite. Like I said, she's one of the top ranked fighters there at strawweight, 138, and then Chicagan's +110. Chicagan, of course, is coming off the TK loss to the champ Valentina Shevchenko. Actually, she lost to Shevchenko, and then she beat Shevchenko's sisters. Got a little bit of revenge there. But in this fight, I'm gonna go Andraj. Just like I said, looking at the past, once Calvillo moved up, she completely outclassed Jessica Ai, and Jessica Ai actually has a victory over Chicagan, if I'm not mistaken. Let's check here. Yeah, it was a split decision, but it was a victory over Chicagan nonetheless. And looking at Andraj is a better fighter than Calvillo is. So I'm looking at Andraj to probably get the decision, maybe late stoppage over Chicagan. Andraj is definitely the more powerful striker. However, Chicagan is the more technical. I'd say probably quicker. But with that all being said, I'm going to go Andraj by decision here. And then moving up to the co-main, we have Cyril Gane versus Ante de Lija. Cyril Gane he's number 12 in the UFC heavyweight rankings now. 30-year-old coming out of France. I believe he's undefeated, if I'm not mistaken. He has 6-0 in his professional MMA career. He's coming off the decision victory over Tanner Barbosa. That actually is a good win nowadays. Looking back on it, it wasn't too impressive, at the time that it happened, it wasn't too impressive, but now looking back on it, it's pretty impressive. That's funny. That was actually on the Edgar versus the Korean Zombie fight. So here he is back fighting on a zombie fight. In this fight, I'm gonna go Cyril Gane, however you say it. I'm gonna go probably by submission, maybe decision. Then looking at the odds for that fight, we have Cyril Gane minus 700, and then Ante Lija plus 500. You know, like the odds show. Cyril Gane is definitely the better fighter, I would say, between the two. He's he's probably next up at in heavyweight. He's a good prospect. As those odds show. Man, I don't know, minus 700. It's always crazy. When the odds are that far apart, you just are tempted to pick the underdog. But yeah, like I said, man, I just think I think Gane's just a better fighter. He's ranked number 12. Of course, his opponent's making his UFC debut. I just see Gane getting the job done by submission or decision probably. And then moving up to the main event, we got the Korean Zombie Seung Jung versus Brian Ortega. Of course, Seung Jung was coming off the TKO victory over Frankie Edgar in his last bout. What do you want to say about that fight? He completely, destroyed Edgar. I felt bad because Edgar, stepped in as a late replacement. I believe it was for Ortega actually. Yeah, it was back in December 2019. Edgar was supposed to be going down to bantamweight, but he stepped in on short notice to take on the Korean Zombie, and Zombie just completely fucking whooped his ass. What do you want to say? He dropped him early, then dropped him again, then took his back and then knocked him out. The Zombie's just got some crisp boxing, man. He's just gotten better and better. He left to go to do his military service, whatever, and he came back, man, and he's just on a completely different level. He was a good fighter before. Of course, he had his Twister victory and the submission over Dustin Poirier. And he had gotten TKO'd by Jose Aldo, and then he he got TKO'd by Aldo, and then he left, and then he came back. He beat Dennis Bermudez by KO. He really beat Yair Rodriguez, but then Rodriguez got that lucky elbow literally at the last second of the last round, and in that fight, the Korean Zombie was walking him down the whole fight and had won just about every second up to that point, and then of course. Yair got that amazing KO over him, but other than that, there's really been no hiccups with the Korean Zombie. He's got crisp boxing, good submission game. He's never been submitted in his MMA career. Yep, never been submitted in his MMA career. And like I said, man, he's just got some good hands. And then looking at Brian Ortega, he's coming off a really long layoff. And I said earlier in this video that I don't like these fighters coming off of these long layoffs. The last time that Ortega fought was December 8th of 2018 when he got stopped by Max Holloway, the doctor stoppage. He's coming in with a 14-1 record. Before that, of course, he stopped Edgar, stopped Cub Swanson, stopped Renato Moicano, stopped Clay Guida, stopped Diego Brandao, stopped Diego Tavares. Ortega definitely has an impressive resume. But with that being said, he was losing a couple of those fights. You look at the Cub Swanson fight. Swanson was teeing off on him. Before Ortega landed that guillotine over him. And then looking at the Clay Guida fight, even Ortega, was losing that fight too. You could argue, and then he just timed it with that beautiful knee and knocked him out. But yeah, looking at these two fighters, the Zombie definitely has the better boxing of the two, the better hands, the better striking. I would say Ortega, might have the advantage if it was to go to the mat in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But like I said, the Zombie's never been tapped out in his pro MMA career, so that's not really something that I would be watching out for. Looking at these odds, we have Seung Jung minus 175, Brian Ortega plus 150. As for my prediction for this fight, I'm gonna have to go on the Korean Zombie. I'm gonna go Zombie probably third, fourth, maybe fifth round TKO. You know, I'm just gonna be looking at, I just believe he's just gonna put too much damage on Ortega and get the late stoppage. Of course, Ortega has a great chin. He doesn't, he hasn't really been stopped besides that Holloway fight, and he wasn't even really stopped in the Holloway fight. It was a doctor stoppage. It's just the accumulation of damage, and in this fight, I'm kind of looking at the same thing that happened. I don't believe Ortega's gonna get KO'd stiff. I just believe the Zombie's just gonna land just a accumulation of shots. Maybe TKO, maybe another doctor stoppage. Fourth, fifth round. But yeah, so looking back over it, I got Jonathan Martinez, Jimmy Crute, Jessica Andraj, Cyril, and then the Korean Zombie. And then if the Zombie does win, I believe he should 100% be next for the for the featherweight belt. That'd be a very good matchup between him and Volkanovski. Definitely deserving of it. They've been going back and forth a little bit on social media, and I just believe that it'd be a really intriguing matchup. Between the two of them, it's time to move on. Holloway had his two. Holloway and Volkanovski had their two matchups, and it's just time for something new. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, what your predictions are. If you agree with me, leave a thumbs up. Comment down below what you think it should be next for the winner of this fight. Let me comment down below what your predictions are. And yeah, appreciate you guys. See y'all next time.